Hey, Rebecca, I am so excited to have you here. Welcome into the show. I just shared a little bit with our listeners about who you are, but I would love for you to give them the whole scoop: who you are, who you
Sure.
serve, you know, anything you want to share about yourself and how you got here.
Okay, of course. So, hello. Thank you, Tracy, first of all, for having me. So, my name is Rebecca Morassutti. I think Tracy said it right in the intro. So, a little clap there for Tracy. So, my name is Rebecca Morassutti, and I am a virtual assistant mentor, entrepreneur, business strategist. And I started my online business about a little bit less than 13 years ago, a little over a decade ago. And I sort of evolved during my time in the VA space. I evolved into sort of different roles in my clients' businesses. I worked with clients all around the world, and something that I noticed consistently with the clients that I was working with was it was so hard to find amazing online support. And something my clients would always say to me was,
Yes.
"Oh, I wish I could clone you, Rebecca. Like, can you teach?" Like, we would bring in other VAs for my clients once their business started growing, and they would, Rebecca, train them like to do what you do.
Yeah.
And at this point, like, I didn't think I was doing anything different than anybody else because I'm just me. I'm just I'm
Right.
just like a thoughtful, caring, considerate person. So I didn't really make the connection that those things, that the way that I actually was as like a human being, were actually the things that were bringing the most value to my clients.
Yes.
And so once I started realizing this, and Tracy, I know you've been in the online space for a while, so I'm not sure what your experience with online support is, but most entrepreneurs have some sort of not so great borderline horror story,
Yes. I
right?
have heard them. I have heard some of
Right?
them. I've
Yeah.
actually been really fortunate. I've not, well, no, I have experienced it once. I, ha-
I was
I
gonna say,
have.
have you been the lucky one that has escaped
Yeah.
this, Tracy?
No, now that I just blocked it out is what happened, and it came flooding back. No, I actually had to hire a launch manager 24 hours
Oh,
before
yeah,
launch.
yeah. Oh my gosh, no
Uh-huh.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my only bad one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Everything
good.
else has been great. Yeah. But
Yeah, yeah.
I hear all the stories from my clients and students. They're like, "Oh
Mhm.
my God, they stole all my passwords." And I'm like,
Yes,
or I
yes.
paid them and they ghosted me and I'm just over here going, "No, it's
Yeah.
terrible."
There
Yeah.
are so many horror stories, like, it's wild, and, for me, because at this point I had been working with my clients for years, I started seeing how hard it was to find that amazing online support, and that's sort of what pushed me into thinking about creating a sort of framework or something to help other women do this.
Mhm.
And then alongside that, I had a few things going on in my personal life. Somebody that was very close to me was going through a sort of divorce and a really bad situation, and she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, Rebecca, like, is there any way you can just like help me get started in this VA thing?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Absolutely, like, absolutely." She's like, "You've been able to do such amazing things. I'd love to get started doing this. Can you help me?" So I was like, "Of course I can." So I started like pseudo mentoring her, via WhatsApp,
Mhm.
like on Instagram, like in between our different reels, we were sending back and forth to each other. We'd be like giving her little like VA tips.
Yeah.
And that's really when like my framework was kind of solidified. Once I started seeing the
Mhm.
results that she was getting, she was landing amazing, amazing clients that she
Oh,
really
good.
valued, right? And that
Yeah.
valued her. And not only that, but she was able to bring in over like $10,000 a month. Like, she got to $10,000 a month within 6 months,
That's
which is
amazing.
it was wild. I didn't know. I knew I had done something for myself, but I didn't
Yeah.
know other people could do it too. And she was kind of the proof of that. So that's sort of
That's
how
great.
yeah, that's how I got started. That's where I'm at. Now I've been a VA mentor for about 3 years now. I've helped women all over the world, over 300 women, start their VA business and become right-hand women. And I'm just so excited to continue to help more this year.
I love it. Did you say how you decided you wanted to be a VA? Like, how did that happen? Because I know
Okay.
for me, I got fed
Mhm.
up with my corporate job.
Yes.
And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is not good anymore. But then the thought of being an entrepreneur, I was like, oh, I don't think I could do that either. Because my dad worked for himself for my whole
Yeah.
life. And he made it,
Same. Same. Yeah.
well, I don't know about your dad, but my dad made it look terrible. Like,
Yes. Yes. My dad went bankrupt.
oh my gosh. Well, we didn't do that, but I never
Yeah.
saw him. He worked
Yes.
all the
Yes.
time.
That too. Mhm. Mhm.
Man, so
Yeah.
how did you like what's your story there?
So I always felt like I was made for more. Like
Hmm.
I always had this idea. I never, like, in my mind's eye, I never had this end goal of like working in a corporate job my entire life. Like I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I knew that wasn't the exact life I wanted.
Yeah.
And I just felt that. And when I was in my corporate job, I actually enjoyed my job. Like the actual job wasn't really the problem for me. It
Yeah.
was the fact that I just constantly felt like almost like taken advantage of in my role. I was the
Yeah.
person everybody counted on, like the dependable person, which, it's funny, you want to help everybody, but then you become
Yeah.
known as that person. So you get more work and more work
Uh-huh.
and more work and more work, right?
Right.
And it got to a point for me where it wasn't worth it anymore. And I sort of had to make this sort of decision,
Hmm.
whether to have faith in myself and go for this
Yeah.
or, stay there. And I had no idea I wanted to be a VA. I actually looked at many different online business opportunities and I always looked down on the VA industry. Truly, I thought like I was a director of marketing. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want to go down like a director to assistant. Like that makes no sense for me logically.
Right.
But I kind of hit this breaking point at my job where I knew I just had to do something. I knew
Yeah.
I had to do something. And being a VA, it really aligned with a lot of the things I loved doing. I loved helping people. Like I said
Mhm.
earlier, I was like that thoughtful, caring, considerate person. And I felt like
Yeah.
that really aligned, with my skill set. And
Hmm.
then to the side of that, I also really wanted to live in a van. So I really want to live in a van. And fun fact, I still
Amazing.
do live in a van. This is my studio. Okay. This is my studio where I do these podcast interviews
I
and I
love it.
record all of my program videos, but I actually do live in a van full time. I'm a full-time van lifer. Um,
Wow.
and that, yes, and that was my goal back then, was to be able to travel and live full time in my van. And that
Yeah.
was something else that was really driving me because a lot of the time, like thinking back, right, this was before remote work was a big thing. This was before
Yes.
COVID. This was before all of that.
Right.
And when I looked at van lifers or even digital nomads, a lot of the time they were able to do it because they were influencers, right? They were
Ah,
content
this is true.
creators.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to do that. I did
No,
not want to be an influencer or a content creator. I didn't even want to have an Instagram account. I just wanted to help people truly.
yeah,
And this was the most aligned path to that.
that's amazing. So, is your
Mhm.
studio in your van?
No, no. Oh, I wish. No, this is a room. So right now our van is parked in like an office area.
Okay,
So I like rent this space.
awesome.
And right now we're actually, I'm gonna not go on a tangent here, but right now we're actually renovating the van to ship it to Europe next year, and we're gonna do a full.
Oh,
Actually, no, it's this year. Sorry, I'm so used to saying next year from 2025. No, we're shipping it this year, in November. So we're
wow.
getting it all fixed up and ready to ship over there, and then we're gonna do a whole European thing. So I'm very
That's
excited about that.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that so much. Well, I always like to ask people for a fun fact. There you have it.
That was my fun fact. I'm like, okay, now I got to think of another one.
Right. No, I think that's a brilliant one. That's a brilliant one. And we've been to Europe twice. We're going back in the spring. We're going to go to Scotland. Our
Oh,
son studied in Spain, and then he and his girlfriend did a European tour thing before they came home.
love
Uh,
it.
you are going to love it. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm so
Okay.
excited.
So, all right, let me stop chattering, because I could talk all day long. So I know you've got a ton of experience. What do you believe? Is there something that's fundamentally broken about the traditional VA model and why it doesn't work for some of the high achieving women we know that are like us, that maybe they are the director of marketing, but they want to get out and they want to do something, but they're not sure that being a VA is for them?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. So, with the VA industry overall, I think for a really long time, this idea has just constantly been perpetuated that VAs are n- basic skill level, like low paid,
Yeah.
transactional sort of people that come in and out of a business. They have a lot of really low paying clients, like seven
Mhm.
clients that pay them $500, and they're kind of just coming in and managing emails and all of that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the VA sort of like training space has continued to sort of perpetuate that by the way that they're actually training women to be VAs, right?
Yeah.
It's like a grandfathered in type of situation where, they learned how to be a VA in a specific way, and then they just taught other people how to be the VA in the specific way that they became a VA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is a thing. And then, I speak to women all the time. I have women that come through my programs that have done some of those other VA trainings, or they've been a VA for a while and they can't get past like $1,000 or $1,500 a month in their VA business because of the way that they've fundamentally been taught to actually set this up. And then also how to serve the clients, right? Things like hourly pricing and things that like, okay, you have to offer a list of services, box people in, right? It really truly boxes people in. And the other flip side of this is that actually as a client that's hiring a VA, you are not getting the experience that you want, right? Something that I talk to clients about all the time is that, they want someone who takes initiative. They want someone to bring ideas. They want somebody to, lean on and really trust the business too. But you're never going to get that paying somebody, $6 an hour for 3 hours a week. It's never going to happen.
Right.
So when there's sort of a bunch of different expectations that are going on out there that are kind of filtering into this from a corporate sort of woman standpoint. The really cool opportunity is that business owners actually want women who have that corporate experience. Like everything that you've gone through in a corporate job makes you the perfect right-hand woman for clients. But again, unfortunately, those really smart, skilled, capable women, they kind of look down a little bit on the VA space because they think it's going to be transactional and they think that they're not going to be able to earn the money they actually need to earn to sustain themselves too, right? Yeah. So there is a lot of things that really like layer into why the overall VA industry is broken. But the thing I think we all need to understand, corporate women and clients, is that VAs are like literally the backbone of the online business space.
Amen.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing would grow, nothing would run without us. Companies would not reach $1 million without us. And when you start realizing how integral you are as a VA, and then also from the client standpoint, how this is actually a really strategic and intentional decision you need to make for your business, that's when we can start, making that connection between, okay, I need somebody who has that corporate experience and I need to find somebody who actually knows how to deliver the service that I need.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I like what you're saying about, you like to use the word right-hand woman instead of VA. And so in practice, it sounds like they are that person that brings the ideas, that cares about the business. They're not just a transactional person who's checking boxes of tasks.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That really is key. And, I had this big realization when I was maybe about a year and a half into my VA business, and I was in the shower. I'll never forget this. I was in the shower and I was thinking about my client's business. I was thinking about all these really cool things we could do. I was thinking about her email welcome sequence, and I was just like brainstorming, and I loved it. Like I loved it. But then I thought, like, I kind of felt in that moment also like a little bit of like resentment because I wasn't getting paid to be thinking about her business, in the shower, because I had a certain set of hours I needed to stick to. And even those ideas that I had that I know would improve her business, would grow her business, I wasn't able to execute on. Right. Because I did have sort of that cap. So it really, that old model restricts so many things. And all of this has kind of gotten the industry to the place it's at now, which is making it impossible for amazing online business owners to find those right-hand women, those partners that they need.
Yeah, for sure. And well, I think it goes back to your point. I hear over and over and over again, somebody will say, I need to hire someone. Who do you know overseas that I can pay $6 an hour? And I'm thinking, is that really the way we want to?
Right. Yeah.
I don't care where the person lives. We need to be paying them a really good wage of, and for their talent and for their contribution.
Right. Yeah.
So, but also, so going back to one of the points you made, women that are maybe they are stuck in this current VA model.
Yep.
And they are charging hourly, and they're finding people are just wanting to, be have the least expensive option, and they're getting offered things that are like $20 an hour, and they're frustrated. Is there a mindset shift that they need to make themselves to then shift into this right-hand woman role where they do feel confident saying, this is what I'm worth. I'm going to charge these higher premium prices. What happens there?
So the biggest mindset shift, and a lot of people like talk about this, moving to like a business owner mindset, right? So for a lot of the women, like I said, I specifically work with women who are in corporate jobs. So a lot of those women, they're really used to getting on going to interviews, right? And sending the resume and the cover letter, and they know how to do all of that, right? So a lot of the times when they come into the VA space, they sort of approach, VA roles and things from that sort of angle of trying to earn it, right? Trying to get hired for the job instead of coming in as an equal to the business owner. So this is the number one thing that I would say is the biggest mindset shift that everybody who wants to do this needs to make. And even honestly, for business owners that are bringing VAs in, you should be finding somebody who you feel like is an equal to you.
Yeah.
And from a VA perspective, same thing, right? You need to come and present yourself as an equal to that business owner. And I know it can be really nerve-wracking, right? Because you're like, oh, but they're a business owner and they have so much experience, but you have so much experience too, right? Like all of your corporate experience, all of your life experience contributes to your success as that right-hand woman, right? Like you are her, you are that person. So I think that's the biggest mindset shift that people kind of need to make. And that it needs to be made not just in your mind, but actually when you are presenting yourself to clients, right? You need to come off as someone who is like, hey, Tracy, how's it going? Da-da-da. Not like sitting there like, who, like, is Tracy going to ask me questions for this interview? Like, no, right? That as a right-hand woman, you own your role, you own your responsibility in that business growth. And from the moment you make a connection with a business owner, you need to come off as an equal to that person. Because if you don't, you're always going to be seen as an employee, no matter what your pricing is, no matter what your services are, you're always going to be seen as, less than in a hierarchy instead of you both on the same level.
Yeah, that's so, yes, I agree completely. I think having that confidence and stepping into our confidence is the key. And once that business owner, if I were to interview somebody and they were standing in their confidence and their energy suggested that they felt like we were a team, like they felt confident teaming up with me, that would make me want to hire them.
Yep.
Completely. Because I want somebody that is going to say, hey, if I Voxer them and go, hey, I got this big idea. And they're like, that's cool, but hold on a second, and they give me their opinion and they're like, wait a minute, why are you going to jump out of a balloon at 30,000? Whatever I've decided to do. That's crazy that day. But, why are we going this direction where you said you wanted to go this direction? But being able to be confident enough to say that, I think that's really worth its weight in gold, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, right? A lot of VAs are afraid to do things like that. Right. Because they don't want to, rub you the wrong way or, oh, you're the business owner, so you know what's best for the business. But what business owners need is that person that you can be like, okay, I'm thinking of redoing my entire marketing strategy because I saw this Instagram reel that said I need these specific hooks. And then the person's like, whoa. Right, exactly. These were our priorities, right? Like these are our priorities for the next 3 months. These are your goals. Right. Is this shift going to get you to those goals? And when you have a right-hand woman, that's what she should do. And I know that everybody who's listening to this, I know I'm going a little bit back and forth between like speaking to you if you want to be a VA versus to business owners who want to bring on VA. So I hope everything is clear. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy for you to reach out to me after, but I just want to give you that. We are kind of going back and forth a little bit to, from the business owner perspective versus the VA perspective.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because I think in my audience, I have both. I have, VAs and online business managers that are growing an online business that listen to me for business advice. But then I also obviously have the online entrepreneurs, which begs the question, what, in your opinion, what is the difference because what I'm hearing you say almost, they're not a coach. Yeah. And I don't know that they should be called a consultant, but they're certainly more than just an
Yeah.
assistant note taker.
Yes.
So, in your opinion, what's the difference between a VA and an OBM, an online business manager?
Yeah, great question. So I do think there's a lot of overlap.
Okay.
And I think it kind of depends on what the business needs, right? And what sort of phase they're in. So, like for me, for example, when I started out, I was definitely a VA. I was doing more of the admin type of work. But as I
Uh-huh.
started working with clients, like I actually still to this day work with my first VA client I ever landed. To
Nice.
this day, to this day, I do more consulting for her now, but
Right.
still.
Nice.
So I at first was definitely more of that VA, and then I sort of shifted more into that OBM role once we brought on other VAs that then I was sort of managing. So the way that I see the difference between OBM and VA is that as an OBM, you're actually managing the entire business. So instead of maybe just focusing on marketing or focusing on
Mhm.
operations, you're sort of you're not in the execution anymore.
Right.
Now, for a lot of business owners, they feel like they might not be at the OBM level yet, like they might not need the OBM level,
Right.
but they want more than just that assistant. So
Yes.
with the women that I work with, that's kind of why we go with right hand women instead of like VA, right? Like
Okay.
VA is the searched term, so we kind of just have to squeeze ourselves into that. But I sort of look at VA as like an umbrella term. I have women in my
Mhm.
program that do like Pinterest strategy for their clients. They call themselves a VA. I have women in my programs who do like full system setups, and they call themselves a VA.
Okay.
And I think the reason why, because you could say, well, why don't they just call themselves Pinterest strategist or, whatever? It's because they want to do more than just that, right? So it's like
Got it.
she's not only doing the Pinterest strategy, she's also helping with the, invoicing, and she's also doing the brainstorming calls with the business owner, and she's doing all of those things. So
Yeah.
the way that I work with my women when I'm training them in my program is that we focus more on understanding the needs of the individual business owner and really creating something that's going to support their unique needs. We don't really label it, right? So it could be like online business support or like virtual support, or we kind of like to keep things loose in my world. But most of the time, people are looking for a VA, right? So we kind of
Got
have
it.
to like fit ourselves into that. So, but overall, like I said, I think that generally, if you're looking for more overall business management and you have other people that are doing
Mhm.
execution, you would need more of an OBM. If you're
Got it.
looking for one person that can do kind of a little bit of everything for you, I would be searching like virtual assistant.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about boundaries for a second, because
Mhm.
whether the person listening right now is an online business owner like you and I are,
Mhm.
or they're a VA or an OBM that has their own online business, boundaries are tough. Boundaries are tough for me as a coach.
Yeah.
I just had to have a difficult conversation with a client today that, of some stuff that I was seeing and some patterns that were developing that were going to hinder her growth. And that was not comfortable. I've
Mhm.
also had some people that wanted to push the envelope on my contracts,
Mm.
and not following the rescheduling process and things like
Yeah.
that. And that can be super frustrating. And, a dear friend of mine does a lot of done for you work.
Okay.
She
Mhm.
is a systems strategist, but she also does beautiful landing pages and sales pages and things like that. Scope creep is
Yes.
real. I mean,
Yes.
before you know it, somebody has added on 5 extra things they want you to do, and then you have and then you wake up and you go, "Oh, crap, I didn't get paid for any of that." So,
Yes.
how
Yes.
do you teach the women that you help, that you mentor,
Mhm.
what's the approach on boundaries? And for all of us, I think this would just be a really great thing to
Mhm.
hear. How do you handle it?
Mhm. So I think the first thing you need to understand are your own boundaries. Like, what are your boundaries? And I think that that's one of the biggest mistakes we make. Especially, I see this with my students all the time because the way that I train my women is more of a holistic support. This kind of boundary pushing happens all of the time. But what I've noticed is that because the boundaries weren't articulated from the beginning, they're actually not boundaries that are being pushed to the client, right? On the other side, because the boundaries weren't actually ever put out there. So
Okay.
that's really the first thing, is understanding like, what are your personal boundaries? Like
Got
truly,
it.
truly, what are yours? And then the other thing is, the next thing I always ask is, are you breaking them? Are you breaking
Ah,
your own, right?
that's a good question.
Are you breaking your own boundaries? Because
Yeah.
again, I see this all the time. Again, with the women that I work with, they want to help. They're going above and beyond. They're
Yes.
maybe working on the weekend because they're so excited, and they can work whenever they want. So maybe the weekend works better for them. But maybe
Right.
they told their client that they don't work on the weekends. Well,
Yes.
if you're emailing your client on the weekends, if you're emailing your client at 8 p.m. at night,
Yeah.
like a girl, you're breaking your own boundaries. So you can't expect other people to respect your boundaries if you don't respect them yourself.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Gosh.
having them first, you
Hmm.
respecting them,
Yeah.
and then we can talk about clients respecting them.
Yeah.
So I always like to just make sure all those first two pieces are covered first. And
Hmm.
then I think the other little side note thing is that I think we all break boundaries and we all accept a little bit of the push, right?
Yeah.
And I see this with my ladies. It's just like, I get it and I've done it too. But I think when it comes specifically to working with clients, the best thing we can do, and I feel like this is so oversaid, but the best thing we can do really is communicate,
Hmm.
communicate, communicate, communicate. And
Yep.
as a VA, sometimes, again, if you're a VA right now and you're listening to this and you do feel like you're more in that employee type of role and not an equal to your client, this
Mhm.
conversation is going to be even harder, right? Because we feel like we're not impressing our boss and
Yeah.
oh, their expectations and da da da. So this is also really why it's so important to really come in at that equal level, because these kinds of conversations, it's a lot, I don't want to say easier. It still is tricky, but I think the respect is a different level because they see you on the same level. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely think the communication is key with my students because I teach them to work holistically. Having like weekly meetings that
Mhm.
are really connecting back to the priorities of the business, what that business owner wants you to focus on that week, and then sticking to those things. So, like, let's say, for example, like we were saying, like we get an idea in the middle of the night and we want to like message our VA and we're so excited about it, not messaging your client until the morning. That's the first thing, even if you see it, right? Even if you see it, but then having that conversation the next day, hey, Tracy, like that idea is an interesting one. Let's talk about if we're going to do it. Just want to remind you, though, that our priorities this week are these things.
Mhm.
So, and we only have capacity for 3 things this week.
Mhm.
So, is this a higher priority than the other 3 things? Or you could say, which one of these things do you want me to
Yes.
push to next week to
Yeah.
then make room for that other thing? So
Yeah.
again, it's all about sort of communication, and it makes it a lot easier when you are in that mindset of we're
Yeah.
equal to have those back
Mhm.
and forth conversations. And I think business owners really respect that too.
Yeah, I think so too. So I know this is probably on the mind of everybody listening. First of all, do you help? Like, if I needed a great VA, it can is
Mhm.
or do you encourage people to email you and say, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody to do X, Y, Z. Do you have anybody?"
hmm So yeah, you definitely can. I am not a VA agency. So I just want to be, I know that people like have this whole VA agency. I don't really believe in that. So if you need a VA and you've been looking for one forever and you are at the place where you feel like you need a right-hand woman, you can absolutely email me. And I can put your information out to my women and they will reach out to you if they feel like it's a good fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not an agent, so I'm not gonna, vet people for you or do anything
Right.
like that. But I'm
Right.
more than happy to share your information with the women that are in my programs, and they can reach out to you if they feel like it'd be a good fit.
Nice. What are some tips on finding and hiring like, I'm sure you've
Mhm.
seen all the mistakes in the world when it comes to
Yeah.
finding and hiring. It sounds like, based on our conversation, communication is huge.
Mhm.
Um, Mutual respect is huge. Setting
Yeah.
those boundaries is big. Clear
Mhm.
expectations of, don't think somebody's gonna read your mind.
Yes.
But
Yes.
so if I were looking to find somebody, where would I start?
Yeah, it's hard. That's a that's a hard question other than saying reach out to me.
Right.
It's hard, right? It is really hard. And I think the first thing you have to understand is, what kind of support do you want? Because
Yeah.
there definitely is a time in a business owner's life where maybe working with somebody for 2 hours a week is going to work for you. Right?
Mhm.
Maybe that is the level that you're at right now and that's fine. But the managing the expectations of what you're going to get at that level, I think
Yeah.
that's kind of, what needs to happen. So if you're looking for a right-hand woman, I think the first thing I would understand is the same thing I said earlier about the equal thing, right?
Yeah.
That the person you're bringing in should be, and you should be getting the vibe from them that
Yeah.
they see themselves as an equal to you. That's the
Mhm.
first thing. And you should be getting that vibe from the very first interaction with them. So whether that's a DM, whether that's you're on Upwork and you're trying to find somebody that way, whether it's a referral, you should be getting that. They should be sending you like call reminder emails, for example.
Mhm.
They should be acting like your virtual assistant before you bring them on as a virtual assistant.
Yeah. Yeah.
That if they truly care about your business, that's what they should be
Mhm.
doing. To that point, they should truly care about your business. So
Right.
this happens so often where, people start working with people and then the person they bring in knows nothing about them. This is the age of social media. This is the age of research. Okay. If your VA
Yeah.
if the person you are talking to has not done basic research, I would even beg to differ here or argue that if they have not done in-depth research, you should not be
Mhm.
working with them. The
Gotcha.
online landscape is competitive. Okay. It's competitive. There are a lot of people out here, and a person you want to work with somebody who's just as excited about your business as you are. And
Yes.
they should know. They should know about your business. They should know about you. If you post on social media, they should know how many dogs you have. They should
Yeah.
know like where you live. Like whatever is there, they should know. They should
Right.
know. And again, that might seem like a little thing because I think a
Mhm.
lot of the time we go immediately to, oh, do they have Canva knowledge? Do they know how to work Kajabi? Do they know how to do this? All of those things don't matter. All of those skills-based things, those can all be learned.
Yeah.
Right. But what can't be learned is that initiative taking, researching, excitement
Yes.
that they need to bring in about your business.
Right.
So that's sort of what I would be looking, and it's really hard to find. It's really, really,
Yeah.
really hard to find. In
Yeah.
terms of physically how to find people, I would say referrals is like the best way. Like if you know another business owner who's worked with a
Mhm.
VA, that would absolutely be the best way. You could also reach out to me, but also I would say that a lot more high level women are using platforms like Upwork, because they have also had these experiences. So like you mentioned earlier on, Tracy, like somebody who they worked with a VA and then they didn't pay them or something. There was some sort of like money situation, right? Or they paid them but then they ghosted, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So those kinds of situations, they happen more and more. And
Yeah.
there's so many online like scams and all this stuff. So the good thing about Upwork, right, is it's a verified platform. So both the business owner and the VA are actually protected. And a lot of the time, that's how really great relationships are started. That doesn't mean you
Interesting.
need to work with people like forever, although I don't know if Upwork's going to come after me for that. But most people that I know, start the relationship on Upwork. They maintain it on Upwork for maybe a few months until they both know, like, okay, you're cool, you're a real human. You're cool, you're a real human. You pay me, I pay you. Like it's, we get the back and forth, you deliver the service. And then they
Right.
kind of move off Upwork and create sort of a longer term agreement from there. But
Got it.
platforms like that actually give you sort of verified proof that this person has experience, they're going to stick around, they're going to do your work. And if they don't, like Upwork will give you your money back, right? So there's a
Okay.
lot of protections on there.
Love
So
that.
yeah, I think too, I know that there are a lot of people who probably like maybe go on Instagram to try to find VAs or go into Facebook groups to try to find VAs. And in my experience, and again, if anyone's listening to this, maybe you've had a similar experience. When I was trying to find VAs for my clients back in the
Mhm.
day, I would get like 200
Oh, yeah.
applications.
Oh my
None of
gosh.
them were good, Tracy.
Yeah.
None of them,
Yeah.
literally none of them. Like it was painful.
Yeah.
And I think the main reason why, just based on everything that I know, is that they just aren't maybe taking their business seriously.
Mhm.
And that's probably another thing I would look for too. Is the VA that you're working with actually full-time in their VA business?
Yes. Yeah. It's a
Right?
great question. Yes.
That's
Mhm.
a really good one too, because you're giving 100% to your business.
Right.
So you need a VA that's giving 100% like fully invested into their business and into your business.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
this actually, and this, for the VAs listening, this goes for you as well. Do not work with clients who they're running a side hustle and they want you as a VA for their side hustle, but they have a full-time job. This is a red flag. Okay. This is because again, they are going to want you to go 100% into the business, to give everything you have to their business when they have not committed 100% to their business themselves. And there's always going to be an imbalance. There's always going to be that resentment. So just keep that in mind, everybody listening.
Interesting. This has been so good. I have one more question for you.
Go for it.
It's just for fun. So if you had to rebuild your business from scratch tomorrow, you're like, okay. Oh God. What is the very first thing that you would do? And also, what would you absolutely not do again?
Okay. So if I'm going to focus on the mentorship business here. So if I was to build my mentorship business from scratch, I think actually the first thing I would do is the first thing that everybody tells you to do, but I feel like nobody does, but maybe this is just me. I would do market research calls. Okay. I remember hearing from everybody, you got to get on market research calls. You have to talk to your ideal client. And I was like, I don't need to do that because I am my ideal client, right? Like I was like, I am her. I know her better than anybody else knows her. But I actually realized that I wasn't her, right? Because at the time I started my mentorship business, I had been a VA for 7-8 years. I was not my ideal client anymore. It had been 7 years since I left my corporate job. I did not remember what it was like. Again, PTSD, I just blocked that out. I'm like, I don't remember. So I assumed, right? I assumed a lot of things. And something else that happened with that too was that because I have been in the space for so long, I have so much like knowledge, right? I have so much like industry knowledge. I want to like teach everybody like everything I know. And my messaging was really diluted. So I think that's the thing I would actually do is I would go back and I would actually do market research calls. And I would do market research calls with 20 people. Yeah. 20 women. And on those market research calls, I would be so incredibly specific to only make sure I was actually talking to my ideal client. I think that's the other thing too, that mistake I made early on that I would change again is I talked to a lot of people that wanted to be VAs, but I knew I wanted to work with corporate women. And because I talked to a lot of other people, I diluted my messaging and it wasn't working for anybody. So that's what I would do. And then what I would not do, this is hard for me because I'm one of those people that's like, I feel like I get something out of every experience. But you know, there's definitely things I've done I would not.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Me too. Yeah. Totally.
I feel like something, okay, this is a good one. I think something I wouldn't do is fall sort of prey to these quick income ideas. And what I mean by this is that I always knew that I wanted a program that was really supportive of the students inside. So I knew that I didn't want to just make a course, sell a course and like let people do it on their own because I was like, no, like I need to help them. Everybody is unique and I really want to give that individualized support. That's what I love doing. I love working with people one-on-one. But I kind of got into the online business industry and started seeing all of these other things, right? Oh, sell it. You don't just need your thing that's selling really well. What you actually need is a $27 offer that leads up to a $200 offer that leads up to a $4,000 offer. And then after the $4,000 offer, you need a $10,000 offer. And in the beginning, I was so focused on trying to create this offer suite that would like up level people to all these things that it took away from my signature program. And I was sort of feeling like, I feel like I want to be working with my students more and I'm not. And B, none of those things were what I actually wanted to do and didn't work. So I poured tons of time into creating these products, marketing these products, trying to sell these products when it wasn't even what I wanted to do at all. And I didn't even really need it, right? Like it was just something I thought I needed. So I think it was kind of a bit of that like shiny object syndrome, but also I think a little bit of, not like really making sure that, if I could go back, really making sure that my main signature program is something that I really focus all of my time, attention on until it's just like a well-oiled machine and it's working. I don't even need to think about it. And then I can have fun with other stuff if I want, but it's not like pressure, right? Because again, for me, and especially in the beginning, I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me to sell like a low ticket program and to launch a low ticket program, it's the same as launching a high ticket program.
It is.
I'm just making $200 from one and I'm making $20,000 from another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my mentors said, and I'll never forget this. She said, every offer you make, it's like you've just created a new business.
Right. Yep,
because they
exactly.
each need their own marketing. They each need their own
Mhm.
attention. And it can get a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I have loved this so much. Thank you so much for being here. I haven't had anybody come on to talk about um, how to be a great virtual assistant or how to hire a great virtual assistant, how to make everything work for both
Yeah.
sides. So I
Yeah.
think this is super valuable. And you brought a free thing for our listeners. And I
Yes.
think it is for VA or people who want to be
Yes.
VAs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You
So
want to tell them about it?
yeah, yeah. So, as I've mentioned a few times throughout the podcast, I do have a signature program. It's called the VA Accelerator. And in the VA Accelerator, we sort of follow this Freedom VA framework, which is a 7-step framework to building a sustainable virtual assistant business that's freedom based and really allows you to create a life of your own design, right? With clients you love, living the life that you've been, probably daydreaming about at your 9 to 5 job, right? If we're
Right.
being honest. So, those 7 steps are, what allowed me to be able to make like over $140,000 a year in my VA business, working with just 4 clients,
Yeah.
and also has helped my students do the exact same thing. So I want to give you that framework. So I'm going to give you
Nice.
the full 7-step full breakdown, the Freedom VA framework guide, and I'm
Mhm.
assuming the link's going to be in the show notes
Yes.
somewhere. So you just head down to the show notes, you can get it down there. And also, if you are a business owner, like we were talking about earlier, and you are in search of a VA, you can absolutely, email me. Just reach out. You can also reach out to me on Instagram. I'm sure all this again will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
But it's at Rebecca Morassutti for Instagram and RebeccaMorassutti.com for my website / you
Love
can
it.
email me through there too.
Love it. This has been so good. Anything you want to add really quick before we run?
And maybe some other people have said this too, but if you are somebody who is thinking about starting a business and you know that you are made for more, like you feel that for a reason. And no matter what you do or what promotion you get or what job you switch to, I think you and I both know that it's never going to allow you to create the life that you actually want for yourself. So if you're sitting there, thinking like, oh, like you've been thinking about it, maybe even for years, a lot of the women I talk to have been thinking about becoming some sort of business owner for years and years and years.
Yeah.
You just have to do it. And it's not based on luck. Like your success is not based on luck. That is like the thing I need everybody to know.
Yes.
So everybody thinks that being an entrepreneur is like some people get lucky in it and some people don't.
Right.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. When you have the right strategy and you have the right framework and you commit to making this the thing that you are doing, you will be successful every single time.
Yeah.
So if this is something that you are thinking about, just do it.
Right. Right. And I would add to that, as long as they're willing to do the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to do the work. It's hard work. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
It is so worth it.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, here's what I want you to do now. As Rebecca and I said, all of her links are going to be in the show notes. Also, an invitation to my free Facebook group will be in the show notes as well. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. Get visible, grow your email list and your income. We have so much fun with our group members. I offer free networking sessions once a month that have just become the highlight of my month. I think last session we had around 40 people join.
Wow.
It's been super great. You should join us, Rebecca.
I should. That sounds fun.
And then I also do free live Q&A, ask me anythings once a month for my audience, for my members. You are encouraged in this group to actually set coffee chats with other people, to share your offers and to get support. Like if you need somebody like Rebecca, you can always reach out to her. So look for that in the show notes. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. And as always, I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. So send me a message, DM me or email me, and then share this episode with a friend who might need to hear this today. And you hear me say this every single week. It's not going to come as a shock to you if you've listened to me for any length of time. I want to remind you, you're not alone. First of all, don't try to do this entrepreneur thing alone, because being an entrepreneur is freaking hard. Some days everybody wants to buy what you're selling, and other days nobody is even remembering your name. And when you think you're alone in that, you're absolutely not. We all have days where we feel like that. And that's where you need to get into a community of support. So that's why I would like for you to join my free Facebook group. Have a great balance of the week and weekend. And remember that when one of us rises, we all rise. So that's why we've got to keep cheering each other on. Rebecca, thank you again.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
It was fun.